I see you are in full regalia, Boy Green, and I understand why. Welcome to one of those, as we call it, a pop-up live. Uh, the Manchild Show with Boy Green Digital at MC Show Digital. By the way, don't forget to like us and hitting the little thumbs up and subscribe and tell your friends about us. Our YouTube channel again at MC Show Digital. There is big breaking news for the Jets tonight. And I'll say this about it. Garrett Wilson was signed to an extension, right? It's a 4-year extension, if I have my numbers correct. And Boy Green, you can spill out all the deets because I know
Mhm.
you're on top of it. But let me ask you this about this Garrett Wilson thing. To me, this is the way people move now in the modern era of football. Don't do what Jerry Jones does and end up getting stuck for $60 million paying your quarterback as the highest paid quarterback in the NFL when he's not the best quarterback. Dak Prescott is wonderful, but he's not the best quarterback in the NFL, and yet he's getting paid more than any other quarterback. The Jets have been preemptive here. They have found a player that they believe they hit on in the draft, and I agree with them. And they are saying, hey, we're going to hold on to this guy long term. We're going to make him part of who we are, make him part of our family. While that, and get that clock ticking sooner so that in the end you save money. Okay, what the Giants didn't do with Saquon Barkley, and now he ends up playing for another team. So I think this is actually a really good move by the Jets. I'm sure you're pretty excited about it.
Yeah, I'll start off with what you just said. Garrett Wilson still had 2 more years left of team control through 2025, 2026. He wasn't scheduled to be a free agent until 2027. So the Jets obviously were incredibly proactive here
Yes.
with this deal. It is a 4-year extension for $130 million, which means in total, Garrett Wilson's under contract for the next 6 years, which
Mm.
I'm sure for the Jets feels very good for a very young player having him under
Yes.
contract. So here are all the specs real quick. 4-year extension, 130 million, 90 million guaranteed. It is the first time that a receiver has received an average of over 31 million after playing only 3 seasons. Again, to the point of what we just talked about being ahead of it. He is making 32.5 million per year on his new extension. That is the 5th highest paid wide receiver in football. He's under contract, I mentioned already, for 6 seasons. He's the first Jets first round pick to be extended after his 3rd season under the new rookie wage scale that happened. And so there you go. Garrett Wilson is now here for the foreseeable future. I'm donning the jersey, and for good reason. It's a very proud moment. The Jets have not had a lot of picks in general, let alone first round
That
picks,
they've hit on. Yep.
that they've hit on where like they've done something enough where you're like, oh, we should probably extend this guy. The problem is the Jets have drafted horrifically, and clearly, well, we're definitely not extending this guy. This guy stinks. So the Jets haven't had a lot of these opportunities, and obviously a historic 2022 draft class is what merited this year. And we could be doing another one of these videos very soon, Lurch, because Sauce Gardner is another one who's eligible for a contract extension. So it's great news. Garrett Wilson is the most productive Jets receiver, that we've had in the first 3 years of a Jets career ever. So,
Yeah. So look, I think again, being preemptive like this, doing things of that nature, getting ahead of the curve. In the end, it saves you money, and it also helps. Listen, we're in this world where players, it's a player-driven world. Players move around at their own will, seemingly, especially once they get to free agency. So if you find players, particularly that you draft, and Sauce Gardner's another great example of it for the Jets. I mean, I don't see why you wouldn't extend him as well and get these players locked down so that you have that nucleus of players. To use a baseball analogy, when the Yankees, found that group of Jeter, Rivera, Posada, that whole group, Pettit,
core 4,
right? The
right?
core, as we call them, that made the Yankees who they were. That was their identity for a long period of time. So I think it's important when you find players, particularly high in the draft, and you hit on them, to just make them part of your identity. And it helps build branding with the fans too, because fans love players who succeed like that. Fans love players who you picked, that you brought into your organization initially. And I know it's tough to keep a guy life, but if you can keep a player during most of their productive years these days, then I think you've done something special in the NFL. And I think that's what the Jets are attempting to do here. And hopefully they do the same thing with Sauce.
Yeah, the Jets hired a new regime this offseason. Aaron Glenn is the head coach. Darren Mucci is the general manager. And I don't know how you act, Lurch, as it pertains to your sport teams, but this is how I handle it.
Okay.
Everyone in both sports and my life enter my life at 0. And if they do good things, they go plus
Right.
5, plus 10, plus 50. They do
Sure.
bad things, they hurt me, or something happens in some way. All of a sudden, they start losing points. Wow,
Yeah.
that guy jobbed me for this thing, or didn't help me on this. Then they lose points. So everyone comes to me ground zero in life and in sports.
Yeah.
And as we're starting at zero here with Aaron Glenn, Darren Muji, they said when they came in here, an important piece of their new philosophy and the foundation they want to build is drafting players, developing players, and keeping those players. Now, obviously, these guys just got hired 6 months ago, so they did not draft Garrett Wilson or Jamie and Sherwood, who was also paid earlier this offseason.
Right.
They can recognize talent, and they said they wanted to keep and retain this talent. Well, they're men of their words, as far as I'm concerned. Jamie Sherwood got paid $45 million. He's a top 5 highest paid linebacker in football.
Right.
It was the first big move they've made that people aren't talking about. And number 2 is Garrett Wilson. He's a top 5 highest paid wide receiver in football. They have been men of their words. They said that's important to them, and they're delivering. So as a fan, we haven't gotten to the results yet of the season. We'll see if they can coach and win games and things of that nature. But just based off their words, Lurch, they're doing exactly what they told us they were going to do.
Right.
How, as a fan, can you not be encouraged, happy, and excited for the future?
No,
About
you have to love that. You have to love loyalty to your fans. You have to love people that say something and then actually do it. I mean, keeping your word actually does matter in this world, not just in sports, but it should matter in life. So I don't know why we have to tell people this, but it does seem in this cutthroat world that we sometimes live in that we don't respect that. We don't have manners, dare I say, when it comes to, hey, I said we were going to do this and this is what we're going to do. So no, it's refreshing. Frankly, what's going on here, and I think again, I think it is good for the Jets. And you mentioned where he stacks, so top 5, and that seems very reasonable to me because even if you don't consider Garrett Wilson a top 5 receiver at this moment, I
mm-hmm.
think he definitely has potential to be a top 5 in the next few years, and you're going to pay him in that regard. And again, you're getting ahead of the curve. You just can't do what the Cowboys have done. They're going to do it again with Parsons. It's going to
Oh
be a
God,
disaster again.
it already
Jerry
is.
Jones,
Yeah.
he's too old school. He doesn't understand how the modern NFL works. He's living in the past. He's living his, we'll do our hardcore negotiations. No, Jerry, you don't understand. The price goes up every day you wait. And if you wait, a year, the price can sometimes double. I mean, look out for waiting. It is not a good idea in today's sports landscape. That's for sure.
That's true. If we just avoid basically everything that the Dallas Cowboys champion,
Yeah.
I think if we do the opposite, that's probably good news for all in business. I would say, to your point, Lurch, about Garrett Wilson, about whether he's a top 5 receiver, top 10 receiver, or where you have him. This is why I thought Sauce Gardner was going to get paid first, to be honest with you. Maybe both will get paid before training camp. We'll see what happens. But
Okay.
Sauce Gardner has played 3 years in the NFL. 2 of his first 3 years, he's been a first team All Pro. And to give context for what that means, sometimes
Yeah.
we just say Pro Bowls, this,
Right.
that, and it doesn't
Doesn't
really
really mean,
marinate
right.
with people. He is the only defensive back to accomplish that in, let's do the math on that, 55 years of football. So that's pretty good. No
Yeah.
one's ever done that before as a member of the secondary. So
Right.
Sasa, even though he's not coming off that season, he did not have a first team All Pro season in 2024. He's had it 2 of the 3 years. So the majority of the time, he's been this elite, amazing player, one of the top cornerbacks in football. So you would think he and his representation have a very strong case to say, yeah, who's the highest paid receiver? Yeah, or corner? We'll take a penny more than that guy. Thank you very much. And then you would just think that the negotiation is sort of simple. Garrett, while he's been awesome for the Jets, you compare him to Jets receivers, he's been really good. But when you look at the top of the league, Garrett Wilson hasn't had double-digit touchdowns. Garrett Wilson hasn't consistently had 100-plus catches. Garrett Wilson hasn't had 13, 14, 15, 16, 1,700 yards. He hasn't had those seasons. If I'm Garrett, I'm pointing to the terrible quarterbacks the Jets have had and said, that's why I haven't. But still, numbers are numbers. He has not reached that level yet. So I was curious, when they got to the negotiating table, how did the Jets handle that of where Garrett, again, to your point, potential versus production? Are you paying him for what he did yesterday? Or are you paying him for what he's going to do for you tomorrow? That gets deeper into that conversation.
Yeah, and Chris jumping in here and saying Wilson, he thinks Wilson's top 10 now. And I might be able to defend that case. I don't think he's that far away from it. And he says it right here. Okay, top 10, definitely 11 to 20. I totally agree with that. And may eventually be a top 5. So he's kind of echoing my thoughts there. And I think I agree with that. I just think what he's shown already in a interesting time at quarterback for the Jets,
Yes.
really, to me, just it shows the potential that if he gets locked in with the right guy, this could really, really, as we say in the in the digital world, go viral.
Yes, Lurch. Let me give you an opportunity. We won't know. This is one of those trivia games that we don't know. We won't know immediately tomorrow.
Yeah.
We've mentioned in some of our conversations about the Jeremy Fowler top 10 list
Yes.
that comes out day by day.
Right.
Tomorrow's off-ball linebackers. That there will be Jets represented, but
Mhm.
that's not for this particular conversation. We won't get wide receivers until Wednesday. So
Okay.
today's
Well, that'll
Monday.
be interesting.
Tomorrow's Where do you believe, if at all, Garrett Wilson ranks in the top 10?
Well, if he's in the top 10, I think he'll be near the bottom.
I agree.
8, 9, or 10. I don't think I could go any higher than 8 at this point of his evolution.
Sure.
I think he has. I think he has more upside than several guys that will end up being above him on the list. But we don't do this on upside. We do it on what a
Where
guy has
they are
actually
right
done
now. That's
already,
what the
and
list is supposed to be.
and what we see in them right now. So you know, uh, let's put it this way. I won't be shocked if he's on the list. I won't be shocked if he's not on the list. But even if he's not on the list, it doesn't mean that he's not, you know, right there, right at that 8, 9, 10 spot. And
Sure.
I'd have to build a list. It was
Yeah.
funny that I know the quarterback list came out earlier today, and I
Yep.
was taking a peek at it. And of course, that's always going to be, a big debate.
Hmm.
Um, I said, "Dar, I wish I hadn't seen it. I should have made my own
To
list of 10
compare. Right.
and then
Now you're
gone back, right?
influenced
Now
by what
you're
you
right.
saw.
Now,
Right.
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 You're influenced by what you saw, and you're influenced by what other people are already saying about it. So I was like,
Hmm.
it ruined it for me. I should have made my top 10, and then I could argue for my
Compare.
top 10.
Yes.
This
Right.
is this is how I thought through the problem.
And
This is
why?
how I
Yes.
came up with it. This is why. Because I know the one thing I would say is that in looking at that list, that I would have had Lamar Jackson, you know, no less than number 3. I mean, how can you?
Yeah.
The guy's won the 2 MVPs.
Two.
You
And should have
know,
won three.
I know he
Yeah.
hasn't won a Super Bowl yet, but
Sure.
neither has neither has Josh Allen.
Josh Allen,
You
Joe
know,
Burrow. Right.
so to me, he can't be any lower than 3. And Mahomes is probably the top guy just because of the accomplishments and the Super Bowls. And now come on. I mean, if Lamar's not 2, he's got to be 3. And if he's
Hmm.
probably Allen's the other one, and and then Burrow's right there too. He's close-ish too.
Yeah.
But come on, you're disrespecting Lamar, I think, by putting him at 4. I think on my list anyway. I wouldn't put him at 4.
And I concur. I agree with that. Randomly, I just want to give a shout out to Alon
Yeah.
here, who gives his comment. And I thought the same thing, but I haven't said it anywhere yet. This is my first live show since Garrett Wilson news happened.
Yeah.
Alon says, after giving Garrett Wilson $32.5 million per year, I can't imagine what Sauce gets. And again, that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
Sauce had a stronger case to get the most money possible
Right.
at his position. Garrett had less of it. I like Garrett. I'm wearing his jersey. I love Garrett Wilson. But his case, which I'll be curious to hear at press conferences and things over the coming days as they give proper opportunities here for all those sorts of things. Man, does Sauce ask for even more? He's like, hey, I've proven I've been here and Garrett's been here. You better be paid. You paid him this.
He's got a
Okay,
good
you better
argument.
pay me this. So that'll be sort of curious to see where that ends up going.
But I still would make the argument to do it sooner rather than later.
Oh, I agree.
Because the price will only go up. Think about
Right.
this Wilson thing for a second. All right. So
Yeah.
you said, is he 5? Where is he precisely? Did you?
For highest paid right now?
Yes. Yes.
He's at 5th right now.
He's
Yeah.
5. Okay. So he's at 5. Okay.
Yeah.
Other guys that are going to come up here,
Correct.
in the next year, 2 years. Okay.
Sure.
So let's look at this just 2 years from now.
Okay.
Okay.
Mhm.
2 years from now, he's no longer a top 5. All right,
Mhm.
because at least at least one guy's going to pass him. Might be multiple.
I
guys,
agree.
Right?
No doubt about
Probably
it. I concur.
be hanging
Yeah.
on to be in the top 10. Okay, to me, he has the potential to be a top 5 guy. You may be paying him in the top 10 world or even less and getting a top 5 guy. That's a bargain. You don't get those
Mhm.
things in the NFL very often. And that's being preemptive and getting stuff done early. So I know it looks daunting. Sauce, all the accolades, right? The 2 first team all pros. I get it. It's better to do it now.
Mhm. Sure.
If you see him as a guy that is going to be a Jet for the foreseeable future,
Mhm.
it pays to do it now. That's
I
it.
agree.
It's a very simple formula these days. The longer you wait, the more you pay. The
Yeah.
higher the price. Okay.
But it's the Jerry Jones thing, if we're going old school, is
Yep.
that and how things have shifted in a way of team leverage versus player leverage.
Right.
I could imagine if Jerry Jones, imagine that world, he's owning the New York Jets. We flip the worlds here, and you tell Jerry, hey, you've got Garrett under contract for 2 more years. Hey, you got Sauce Gardner under contract for 2 more years. And when is it time to negotiate? We'll see in 3 years after we franchise tag him or something. Like, he would just push it all the way to the edge. And here's the thing that I feel confident about as a Jets person is that Garrett Wilson is really good. Sauce Gardner is really good. And only waiting more time is only going to show the rest of the league how good we know they already are. We have the most information. They are in our building. We know how they are as people. We know how they are as football players. What else are we waiting for? Like, boy, let's open up the paychecks here. And I would also say this on a kind of a different flavor. Garrett Wilson in December alerts. There was a piece that came out from NFL Network insider Ian Rappaport. He said if Aaron Rodgers returns to the team, Garrett Wilson might request a trade because that's how uneven things appeared at the time.
Wow. So that's
we are 8 months later. Garrett Wilson has just signed a contract that keeps him here for the next 6 years. The Jets' new regime and Justin Fields, I think that's a big piece of it too. But specifically, the Jets' new regime deserves a lot of credit for selling Wilson on the vision and saying, hey, man, things have been uneven for you so far in your career. We can't do anything about that. We weren't here. But I'll tell you this is what we plan on doing for the next couple of years, and you're a big part of that vision. You've heard Aaron Glenn and Tanner Angstrom talk about for weeks, we're going to get Garrett Wilson the ball, and we're going to get it to him a lot. Justin Fields, his college quarterback he reunites with. Yeah. Obviously, Garrett Wilson has been sold on that vision, and I think the new regime deserves a ton of credit for that because he could have easily been another one of those players who says, I don't care how much you're going to pay me, Jets. I want to go to a real team that gives me a chance at this, or this. I demand a trade, and 31 teams would have lined up to pay Garrett Wilson because he's that good.
Yeah, I definitively believe that one of several reasons, it's not the only reason, but one of several reasons why the Jets went out and got Justin Fields was because of his connection with Garrett Wilson. And they obviously knew in the back of their minds that we want this guy, Wilson, to be a long-term Jet. So why not, take chemistry that was created in college and bring it to the pro game and see if we can make something happen. Plus, the Jets did the one thing they needed to do, all right? And that is they just needed to get younger at the quarterback
And
position.
boy, did they.
Look, they swung and missed, okay? They drafted a quarterback a few years ago, and they swung and missed. It happens, all right? It happens. It happens to the best teams out there. Yeah. There's no shame in that, but you got to, pick yourself up off the mat and figure out another solution. And so the draft wasn't the place to do that for the Jets at this moment. But they went to free agency and they got younger. They have a chemistry piece potentially here with Garrett Wilson, and they have a quarterback who, despite whether you feel he's a good passer or not, is a dual threat quarterback, which really works in today's NFL. So I don't know how this is going to go, but if I were a Jet fan, I'd be extremely excited at the prospect of where this could go. And I'd be more excited about this than I would be about when Aaron Rodgers came into the fold.
I would say this. We go back to the process. The Jets drafted Zach Wilson, the number 2 overall pick, and it failed. Again, it happens, especially for the Jets. They've drafted all kinds of busts. I don't blame them for the swing. The swing made sense. They thought this was the guy. They drafted him to be the guy. He wasn't.
And I thought, by the way, he was a good college quarterback. I thought I thought he might translate.
Right, and he did not. Now the Jets said, okay, we got ourselves off the mat, dust ourselves off. Hey, there's an opportunity to get a 4-time NFL MVP. Aaron Rodgers, let's make the swing. Again, even though it ended up failing, hindsight is 2020, I did not blame the Jets for making that swing. Yep. The swing made sense. The swing did not connect. They all don't. That fails. Now we're here with Justin Fields, and you got 14 years younger at the quarterback position. I mean, I don't know what Justin Fields is going to be, but again, indirect, I don't know how big of it was for the Jets. I give them massive credit if they did think of this ahead of time. Justin Fields coming here would help us in the negotiations with Garrett Wilson. Maybe they were thinking that high, or maybe they got lucky. But either way, I thought that was great from that perspective. And it's a 1-year trial, really. It's a 2-year deal, but it's a 1-year trial. If he's awesome, sweet. We just stumbled into our franchise quarterback. If he stinks, okay. We know we need to go get a quarterback next year. If he's mediocre, so be it. He could be a bridge for another year while we try to figure out the other option. I feel like the Jets did themselves a great service by signing Justin Fields in the first place. I think it was the best, most realistic option they had at quarterback.
Right.
And number 2, it was a chance to test something out. Justin Fields is 26. We don't know what he is yet. He's an unfinished canvas. That's what the Jets coaching staff would like you to believe. What were the other options? Marcus Mariota? Carson Wentz?
Right.
We know who those people are. They stink. So Justin Fields, maybe he stinks, but at least the Jets are giving it a whirl here. So, I'm feeling pretty good about it.
Yeah, you should be. You should be. By the way, tonight's pop-up live broadcast brought to you by our friends at Bayberry Automotive. You see them right there in the upper right-hand corner of the screen, where they preach integrity and everything. We just take 30 seconds, and so you can learn a little bit more about our friends at Bayberry.
Integrity is a word that some people just throw around in life. But at Bayberry Automotive, integrity is everything. Integrity of their mechanics, who are all experienced and certified. Integrity in the work they perform, with nothing but 5-star reviews from satisfied customers on Google. Integrity that goes along with family. A family-run business that treats you like one of their own. Integrity in everything. Bayberry Automotive. BayberryAutomotive.com.
Located on Route 57 across from Bayberry Plaza, the premier choice for auto repair in Liverpool.
Got some swanky cars there in front of us.
I was just going to say, the next time we have John in, he's got to give me the hookup on the Lamborghini he apparently had at the...
Let's drive those Lambos hanging out at Bayberry over there on Route 57.
Yeah, that would be very nice. By the way,
thank our friends, by the way, at Bayberry for supporting us. Go ahead, Boy Green.
Of course. We have nearly 200 people in the room across our social media portal, so thank you so much. Make sure you guys like the video, hit subscribe. That's the free way to contribute to the program. Do. We are cross-streaming. We're on my Boy Green channel for all the diehard Jet fans out there. But also, this is a great introduction to the Manchild Show, Boy Green Digital. Lerch and me did radio together for 8 years together as a pair, 10 years together with me being an intern, and he did 23 years total in the radio business heading into year 24. We've moved it completely digital, so we got all kinds of fun stuff in terms of content over there with Jets, NFL, fantasy football. Eventually, we're going to have a ton of different content, so make sure you guys please subscribe to the channel and hit that bell notification so you don't miss anything. And Lerch, this is a pop-up show. This wasn't planned. The breaking news happened, and we ended up doing a show. For the first time in this show's history, Lerch, we've opened up the phone lines. The phone lines are open for you crazy animals if you'd like to jump on the program.
I'm a little scared to meet some of these crazy animals. But,
you should be. You should be. The call-in line is available on both YouTube channels. The Manchild Show Boy Green Digital is the pinned comment on YouTube and at Boy Green 25. The comment is pinned if you'd like to call into the show. If you are watching on Twitter, shout out to the Twitter people out there, feel free to hop on over to the YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/boygreen25 or youtube.com/@MCShowDigital. And you can call into the program and share your thoughts on this crazy Garrett Wilson news. Feel free to take advantage.
Yeah, so you don't have to live anonymously in the comment world. You could, you could be part of the... you could come in our room, dare I say. We'll invite you into our rooms.
Yeah, our domain. Yes, feel free. Get comfortable.
So if we can, we will squeeze in a few calls because we're not going to be here all night. I know Paul will be there bright and early tomorrow morning on his Boy Green Daily to break this down even further. But, when breaking stories like this happen, and I think, in all honesty, if I wasn't on the golf course earlier tonight, which is where I was when this news broke, I saw the alert come across my phone. I was like, oh man, I hate when that happens to you somewhere else. But I told Paul, I said, look, once I get home, let's get in there and mix it up. So I got bug spray all over me. I reek of awful bug spray because it was a buggy night at the golf course. I didn't play particularly well, so I probably would have been better off doing a live show on the Garrett Wilson signing. But here we are, late as it may be, but we will spend at least a few more minutes with you. So again, if you want to chime in on those phone lines, go to that link on those sites as Boy Green just cited. Go ahead.
And real quick, Lerch, I think this is a great opportunity to talk about sort of what this show provides that our old show did not. And we were constrained. Breaking news happens tonight, but our normal radio show,
10 o'clock tomorrow. Right.
That's exactly it. Our normal radio show was 10 to 12 Monday through Friday. So the Garrett Wilson news breaks 4 or 5 o'clock in that range. Well, if me and you look at each other, well, okay, at 10 o'clock, we'll get the rebound leftovers of whatever's left for this conversation. Right. And in this world, we're able to immediately go live, or in this case, do a night show for you guys. It's the great part about the show. So you guys are going to get content all the time, morning, afternoon, evening. It's going to be all over the place. So feel free to take full advantage of that moving forward. But just a great example of tonight being the night of us going live, and we're going live 11 hours before we normally would have, Lerch, on the radio side.
What do you think? I mean, let's take this kind of push it forward a little bit.
Sure.
What do you think this means to Garrett Wilson's season? Garrett Wilson's mindset as he approaches now training camp coming up very shortly. Rookies reporting later this week for the Jets. What do you think it does for his mindset that he's now locked in? You know, he's a 6-year Jet right now, barring a
Mhm.
trade or some
Sure.
unforeseen circumstances. He's a 6-year Jet at this particular point because this is a 4-year extension. He still had 2 more on his current deal.
He did. I wrote a piece about this earlier this week. I wasn't talking about Garrett, but the shoe fits the same, Cinderella. So feel free to slap on the glass slipper here. And it's this. When people get paid, one of two things happens, Lurch. And here's a bad story. So Jet fans, cover your ears, eyes, and mouths, and everything else. Muhammad Wilkerson. I don't know if you remember that name,
I
Lurch,
do.
but a former first-round draft choice of the
Mhm.
Jets. Grew up 10 minutes from the facility. Great story. The Jets draft him late in the first round. He becomes this instant star with the Jets. His first 5 years are incredible. 36 and a half sacks, 80 quarterback hits. The numbers are insane. And Jet fans are like, well, Jets, you got to pay this guy. A homegrown guy. You got to pay him. The Jets go, okay, fans. I'm sure that's not the reason they did it, but they said, sure, fans, we'll acquiesce. We'll pay this guy. And as
Yeah.
soon as they paid Muhammad Wilkerson, he started showing up late for meetings. He got paid. He got the bag. He all of a sudden lost his passion and didn't care anymore. And all kinds of off the field issues started happening the moment he got paid. But we saw none of those signs before he was paid. And then he was quickly out of the league. 2 years after signing that record breaking $86 million deal, he was off the Jets roster and then ultimately out of the NFL. So people can respond one of two ways to money. And what some people say, and I hear this in the NFL a lot of the time, that money just makes you more of who you are, that it
Right.
reveals your true character. And unfortunately, that's what happened to Muhammad. So what happens here with Garrett? The thing I feel great about Garrett is, man, he seems like an A-plus human being. He does all the right things off the field.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem like money's going to change him. If we use that same example I just said, that it's just going to elevate who he is as a person, and he's just going to be motivated to deliver for the team and everything, to say, hey, you paid me. I'm going to show you why you made the right decision.
Right.
Me. So that encourages me. And really, it's good to get. I don't know if it would have been a distraction for Garrett because again, he has 2 more years left on his deal, but obviously he wanted to get this done as soon as possible. But there just has to be a sense of relief that you have the financial security. You don't have to worry about this effort or this, or you're in a losing season or winning season and change
Right.
perceptions. Like you can lay it all out on the field. I got paid now. All I got to do, if I'm Garrett Wilson speaking for Garrett Wilson, is just go ball, do the things I've been doing my entire life. And now I get to do it with the comfort of knowing no matter what happens, I'm taken care of. Now I want to take care of the Jets. So that part makes me feel good about the person. Sometimes you get the wrong player and you're not confident about the personality or the commitment to the team. That can lead to some scary situations sometimes. I have zero worries or concerns about G-Dub in terms of this.
Yeah, a lot of the Jet fans in our chat are talking a little bit about, and it's inevitable, right? You just start thinking about the season, and the Jets have
Sure.
this very unique first week
Oh, baby.
where they will take on the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, it's kind of this wild karma, right?
Hmm.
Fields was with the Steelers. They didn't believe enough in him. Then they end up chasing table scraps essentially to try and figure out their quarterback situation. The
Hmm.
Jets move quickly, decisively. They saw something in Fields. They believe that
Yes.
Fields can develop. As you said, he's still only 26 years old. He's still
Yes.
really a raw, young, developing prospect. And I do think there's more to this onion to be peeled. And I have a lot of faith, actually, even though we haven't seen Aaron Glenn as a head coach, that Aaron Glenn. I just like his leader. I like his leadership style, and I think
Hmm.
we saw enough of it even as the defensive coordinator of the Lions that gives me some faith that he's going to be a solid head coach, and I think he's going to be good with young players.
Yes.
Because I think he just, I don't know, there's a wisdom to him in some way, and then obviously the fact that he wanted to be with the Jets. So let's talk about that. I mean, I know we're a long way from Week
Hmm.
One, but there are a
Yes.
lot of Jet fans chomping at the bit about that Week One matchup. What do you make of it?
The first off on Aaron Glenn, the special sauce to me about AG is there is an authenticity with Aaron Glenn that's palpable. He feels real. With Robert Saleh, to piss on the grave of a former Jets head coach, there seemed to be a lot of fake there. He had all these silly catchphrases, all gas, no break. He felt like an action figure. And
Mm,
like normal questions would be asked. He would provide these outlandish answers, and it just felt like he was on a different universe. Aaron Glenn, for better for worse, we'll see what the results are. Obviously, it's all honeymoon right now. Everyone loves everybody, but he just there's just a human being there. There's just a person, and like he is no nonsense, which he's not going to be rubbing elbows with anybody or taking them out for golf course lessons or anything like that. That doesn't seem like his MO, but there is an authenticity there. And I heard this from Jermaine Johnson, which was a good story, pass rusher for the Jets, former first-round pick. Yeah. He said not to disrespect anybody because he knows how these sorts of stories get taken out of context. But he said, the thing about having Aaron Glenn that's different as a head coach is I know he's done it. Aaron Glenn played in the National Football League for 15 years. 8 of those 15 spent with the New York Jets. Yeah. He was an NFL player. He was an all-pro. He played at the highest level. And when he says something to a player, they listen. They know where it's coming from. And you'd hope that any player would listen to any coach about anything, but, there's realistic stuff here with human beings and things of that nature. So I love that about Aaron Glenn. He's never been a head coach before, so I guess we'll never truly know until we see the results of the field. But I think that's the thing that's sort of infectious about him. But to go full circle to your question about week 1 and Jets Steelers, this is the first time in NFL history that 2 teams swapped quarterbacks and play each other in week 1 with the same quarterbacks that they had the previous season. That's never happened before. What a unique piece of history that is. And apparently the Steelers wanted Justin Fields bad. He told them to pound sand. And now he gets a chance to show the Steelers what they're missing and prove the Jets right. The Jets believed in Justin Fields. He was their number 1 quarterback target, apparently, according to reports. So they wanted him. And Aaron Rodgers seems like he was the 3rd, 4th, or 5th option for the Steelers this offseason. They chased other things, a trade for Matthew Stafford, Justin Fields, obviously, and Sam Darnold they called in on. So they went through all these things and went, well, I guess we have Aaron Rodgers. But here's the magical thing about sports, which is fun. Whether you're my 5th choice or 1st choice, as long as it works, no one cares the origin story. So it's a fascinating storyline. It's a fascinating game here, week 1. Aaron Rodgers coming back to MetLife Stadium wearing the black and yellow. And, boy, there's just a lot of drama on both sides. Obviously, the NFL schedule makers know what they're doing here, putting this one on the docket and having it ready to roll. That does not surprise me.
Yeah, just to go back to the coaching thing for
Sure.
a minute, the funny thing is, and I think we were sold. I won't lie. I thought when the Jets hired Saleh, I actually thought it was a good hire.
As did I.
I think I understand why I thought that though, and that was that we were sold on that. The number 1 hot assistant,
Yes.
A youngish guy who's never had the opportunity,
Correct.
showed a lot as the defensive coordinator of the 49ers, seemed to really command that defense, brought him to elite status, and just seemed like a good leader of men. And then we got to see Saleh in that role of head coach, and that leadership just kind of fell apart, as you said, became a lot of sayings and just kind of, it just got hokey. I'll tell you what, again, I find myself in the same place with Aaron Glenn, but here's the difference for me going into this. And we'll see.
Sure.
We don't know whether it's going to be a success or not, but I'm going to stick my neck out there and say that I believe it will. And here's why I believe it will. Because Aaron Glenn wasn't the top assistant that we were being sold. I mean, he certainly was a guy whose name was being floated out there.
Very respectable.
But he was not the top. I would probably say that Ben Johnson was probably the top assistant, and he ended up getting another gig, as we know. So, and Aaron Glenn to me feels like the right fit for the Jets. That's what I like about him. I think Saleh looked to be good on paper, but was the fit ever right? With Glenn, I have no doubt about the fit. I know this guy wants the job. I know this guy bleeds green and white. Like as you said, he was a former player for the team. It looks like a good fit to me. So we'll see what he is as a head coach. I like his leadership, though, and I like that he feels like truly a much better fit, even than Saleh did, even though Saleh was a hot candidate back in those days.
Now, these words I'm about to say are a very sensitive subject for those in the Syracuse area. Okay. But some people outside of the area may not have the same connection to it.
Okay.
It is dream job. And
that was the Doug Marrone thing, yes.
That it was, Syracuse, my dream job. And then he left us high and dry to become the head coach of the Buffalo Bills, with all due respect.
Yes.
Aaron Glenn apparently a couple of years ago at the Senior Bowl, which is the premier college all-star event that happens, there is two football teams at the Senior Bowl. They get split up into two teams, and what the Senior Bowl does, their committee is pick two NFL coaching staffs to coach the two teams. Right. One staff over here, one staff over here. Right. College players get NFL experience and those NFL coaching, and the NFL teams get unique insights into the players that are going to be in the draft. So it works out for everybody. A couple years ago, the two coaching staffs were the Detroit Lions and the New York Jets. Aaron Glenn, of course, on the Lions as their defensive coordinator, and ESPN's Rich Cimini, who he's been around so long that he covered Aaron Glenn when he was a player back in 1994, and then full circle is covering him now as a coach at the Senior Bowl. And he pulls Aaron Glenn aside. Again, the Jets have a head coach. It's Robert Saleh. The Lions have Dan Campbell. So he's just talking to him on the sideline. And Aaron Glenn tells Rich Cimini, like, hey, man, my dream job is to one day be the head coach of the Jets. I don't know if it'll ever happen because Saleh was supposed to be the second coming and all these other things. But it's funny how things go full circle. And it goes to what you said earlier. He wanted this job. People sometimes say that, and it's a bunch of malarkey. Like, he bleeds green and white. At his introductory press conference, he brought up, and sorry, Jet fans, for this memory, the AFC Championship game where the Jets were up 10-0 on John Elway and the Denver Broncos. It looked like the Jets were going to the Super Bowl, baby, after that 98 season in the playoffs of 99. But it did not happen. The Jets collapsed like a used lawn chair in the second half, and then it never happened. But Aaron Glenn was on that team that collapsed, and he said, we're going to make our history. We're going to go back to that. And again, he speaks to the Jet fan. The Jet fan knows the stories that he's telling because they lived those same stories. So there is a connective tissue there that is resonating with the fans, and that part is pretty magical.
Yeah, I mean, Chris kind of encapsulates it here. I mean, kind of reiterating what we're talking about, but it's the leadership qualities, the passion for the game, the experience as a player, and fitting the system. And I think that it's just a good fit. It feels like a good fit to me.
Although not everyone is on this train, and there's two points of contention that some Jet fans have. Number one,
tell me about it. Yeah, what are people's worries about this guy? Go ahead.
Aaron Glenn's a defensive guy. In the Jets' 25 years of ownership under Woody Johnson, he's had one offensive coach. That was Adam Gase, who was an epic disaster, of course.
Yeah.
But everyone else has been a defensive guy. And the Jets have been so archaic with their offenses that Jet fans was like, for God's sakes, give us an offensive guy so at least that side of the ball will be somewhat interesting. Mm-hmm. So that's number one. Aaron Glenn's a defensive guy, and a lot of people did not want a defensive guy again. And number two is whether defense or offense, well, Aaron Glenn's a first-time head coach. There's a sense of mystery. Like, this guy doesn't know what he's doing. He's going to have to sort of figure it out on the fly. Another thing that deters Jet fans because the Jets have not had a lot of retread coaches. Unfortunately, Adam Gase also checks off that bucket because he was with the Miami Dolphins. The head coach got fired and the Jets scooped him up. So he was both offense, which the Jets had not done under Woody Johnson, and a retread, which also was something that the Jets have not done a lot during Woody Johnson's ownership. Most of their people have been first-year head coaches of Eric Mangini, Rex Ryan, Todd Bowles, and go through the whole list of guys they've had here in the 21st century. So those are the two big points of contention from Jet fans that were detractors of Aaron Glenn is defense and first-year head coach because of all the, things that come with it. Now, something Aaron Glenn, and I don't have the clip ready or I would play it, Aaron Glenn took it he took umbrage with people saying, hey, so you're a defensive coordinator. He's like, hey, I'm a coach that happens to be on the defensive side. I know offense. I've been spending the last decade meeting with offensive wizards and coordinators during my off time to learn more about offense. Don't call me a defensive guy. So he got a little fiery, which is, by the way, which the media has been really appreciating because there's a fun little tete-a-tete that's going on between the coach and the media. But, that's something he's going to have to prove. So there are detractors from that perspective on what Glenn is bringing from that neck of the tree, and we're going to have to see the results on the field.
Yeah, Aaron Glenn's not going to take a lot of crap. I'll tell you right
definitely
now.
Not.
That guy he's tough as nails.
Mm-hmm.
He commands the room. So, I don't have any worries about anybody, getting out of control on his watch. He's a disciplined guy. I think he's
for sure
extremely disciplined. And I think we are, we're going to see in this Jets team a reflection of that discipline. It just stuff like that bleeds through, I mean, listen, where he just came from. Okay.
Yeah.
Again, another distinct advantage and another reason why I like this choice. He has just come from a place in the Lions where Dan Campbell has built a persona for his team. He has built a culture. Okay. We always talk about that word culture.
Yeah,
Dan
right.
Campbell has built a culture in Detroit. Okay. And we know it's the, hit him in below the kneecaps, Dan Campbell thing. But that's Campbell is just being true to who he is, and then he's essentially rallying his team around his own personal mantra. And I think that Aaron Glenn was a firsthand witness to that. He saw how Dan Campbell built that, and Detroit is on very good footing. This is a
Hmm.
franchise in Detroit that has been god awful their entire history, practically. Other than having, say, the Barry Sanders of the world and a few players here or there, I mean, this Detroit franchise is just a beleaguered franchise, and they are on the precipice right now. I know they went out earlier than they wanted to in the playoffs this past year, but they're on
Divisional
the
round, right?
precipice. They
Yeah.
will be a contender again this year. And he saw that built, and I think that's going to serve him well with the Jets. I really do.
Aaron Glenn has had some good answers, and that was this. He says, everywhere I've been, we started in, relatively speaking, paraphrasing, we've started in crap, and when I arrived, we turned it around. He brought up the New Orleans Saints. That makes sense as a coach. They went from this to this. The Detroit Lions, they started out here, they went to here. He says, I am all a part, I've been a part of rebuilds. Look at me with the Jets. He was on, unfortunately, sorry, more bad news Jet fans. We have a lot of that on the show.
Yes.
Rich Kotite, terrible Jet years. Bill Parcells arrived. He was there for the crap, and he was there for the renewal and the eventual AFC Championship game that we talked about earlier that they went to. So there is layers to Aaron Glenn, and he's had a lot of good answers for things. And I'll be curious to see him as a head coach. That's what's exciting about training camp. Rookies reporting in a couple of days. That's what's exciting about the season of Aaron Glenn. And he gave a massive shout out to Dan Campbell for this. He says, I've been preparing to be a head coach for a long time. And he says, Dan Campbell has given me head coach responsibilities when I was with Detroit to prepare me for this moment, knowing that I would eventually get this chance. And he gives a lot of credit to Dan Campbell for some of those opportunities. So I'm excited for Aaron. He's good people. I never knew if that opportunity was going to come with the Jets, but I was always rooting for him to get a head coaching opportunity and see what he does with it. And go figure, it ends up being with the Jets anyway.
All right, here's a question, Boy Green. I'll
All
let
right.
you attempt to answer this one
Okay.
first. I'll offer some thoughts if I can. All right, but not including Sauce. Okay, so now we're getting beyond the Sauce
Mm-hmm.
extension. Who's the next guy to get extended? And I'll list there, as you can see right in front of you. What are your thoughts about who the Jets after Sauce, still got to get Sauce
Right.
done, after
Yes.
Sauce, who might be the next guy? Or who would you be in favor of them, dare I say, extending or locking down for a few more years?
It's a great question. So shout out to Johnny Boy. Appreciate the question because obviously I believe Sauce is going to be next. But if we're to name someone not Sauce, the two players that come to mind are the first two players that you mentioned. That is Elijah Vera Tucker, our right guard, and John Simpson, our left guard. Both are set to be free agents. John Simpson's coming off a spectacular year. And the Jets are dealing with what the kids call a first world problem, is that both their guards are really good, but now both of them have to be paid at the same time, and you only have one franchise tag to be used. So if you let them both reach free agency, offensive linemen get paid a lot of money in free agency, and you
Yeah.
could lose either one of them. But here's the debate to have if you're the Jets. AVT is 3 years younger than John Simpson. So he's younger. You like youth. But
Yeah.
AVT has never played a full NFL season in his entire career. John Simpson, on the other hand, has played 2 straight seasons of 17 games. So he's been fully healthy for 2 straight years heading into this year. AVT has been inconsistently healthy throughout his career. So that's the battle. John Simpson is obviously older, so that's sort of the back and forth. But if I was going to invest in anything, it would be offensive line. So I'd probably go John Simpson first over AVT because of the durability concerns. But guard certainly makes sense to go after. And here's a sneaky one. What about Justin Fields? He signed to a 2-year deal. But after this first year, if he shows the chutzpah the Jets believe that he can, I think he's an extension eligible candidate 1 year in. Let's
Yeah.
lock this guy in. He's proven to be the franchise quarterback or what have you. So he's a sneaky name. Obviously, he mentioned other players in there, like Quincy, who's set to be a free agent after this year. Brees
Yep.
Hall was set to be a free agent after this year. There's other names on the list. For me, I'd go guard first. And then obviously a sneaky one to think about is Justin Fields in 2026.
Yeah, no question. Okay, I like your answers. Nothing to debate there for me. I mean, that all makes a lot of sense. To me, I've said it time and time again over the years
Mm-hmm.
and years we've talked about football on the show. Uh, to me, the trenches are so important.
Of
They're
course.
just we underrate them constantly. Being the Giants fan in the room here, I can't even tell you how I pined for the days where the Giants had a stable offensive line and in front of Eli Manning, and they really haven't had one since then. And they've drafted and they've picked
Oh
up free
God.
agents and they've
Yeah.
tried the scrap heap and
Hmm.
they've tried changing positions with guys and nothing works. I mean,
But you can't blame them for lack of effort. They've
yeah,
tried to do a
they've
lot of things. They just
tried.
haven't been successful.
It's
And
hard.
yeah,
So, man, I am just a huge advocate of lock down your offensive linemen. If you believe they're guys that are going to be good for the next 7 to 10 years, and a lot of the offensive linemen, they tend to last if they're good,
yeah,
then just get them locked in, man. You do not want to be chasing offensive linemen in the draft because it's a crapshoot, and you don't want to be chasing them in free agency because most of the time when they get to free agency, that means someone else didn't want them, which
that's
means they're
also true.
flawed in some way, which is that's inevitable. I mean, I never forget the Giants picking up was the old man from New England. Oh, his name's
Oh
escaping
my
me right
God,
now.
Nate Solder.
I mean,
Ugh.
we picked up Solder. He was like decrepit by the time we got him on
Uh,
the Giants roster. So lock down your offensive linemen. So if I had a vote on that, I would say get on those offensive linemen. Those guys you can't do without them. You just can't.
Yeah, and a salute to the Jets. Their two starting offensive tackles, Olu Fashanu at left tackle and Armand Membu, who they just drafted with the seventh overall pick.
Right.
Both players are 23 and 22 years of age,
Nice.
respectively. And if you play your cards right, they're your starting tackle tandem for the next decade. The Jets have done their homework right, and we'll see what they are. Again, we've never seen Membu; he's a rookie, and then Olu Fashanu only started 7 games last year, and he played 3 different positions. So we'll see, but the potential is incredibly high. I feel great about the tackle tandem. Then you have the guards. So, the Jets are in a really good place offensive line wise, which is why if people are seeking to be optimistic about the Jets or not, the reason I am is the offensive line. That provides a nice floor for the offense moving forward.
All right. Look, we can't go all night, and I know you're going to
Yeah,
address it again tomorrow morning.
sure.
And again, our broadcast tonight brought to you by our friends at Bayberry Automotive. Thanks for all of you that have plugged in. Again, we'll be back here on at MC Show Digital Live on Wednesday morning at 11. But I know you'll be back bright and early tomorrow, so get a couple hours of sleep, Boy Green.
There you go.
Final thoughts, if you have them, on this big announcement tonight, this signing. The Jets locking down Garrett Wilson for another 4 years.
Yeah, first thing, I'll give a shout out. We'll do our brunch with Bud Poliquin. That'll be coming tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock. So I hope you guys can check that out on the at MC Show Digital channel. You won't find that on the Boy Green channel. So I try to remind you guys all the time that sometimes you'll catch our live shows over here or pop up live shows, which is awesome. But if you want all the content, at MC Show Digital is the place to do it. So brunch with Bud Poliquin on a variety of topics. That'll be coming up tomorrow morning at 11 o'clock. But to go back to this Garrett thing, again, I was in a McDonald's drive-through when I got the da-na-na, da-na-na,
Yep.
and I'm like, no bleeping way, and I'm by myself in the car, so I just say it out loud. Oh yeah, we're in the internet world. No fucking way. I was like unbelievable at my wheel, and I'm like, oh my goodness. And then I'm like, son of a, not to shit on the McDonald's right around here, Lurch, but
Yeah.
oh my God, they are criminally take forever. So I did. The good thing is
Oh,
I
you're in a
know.
long line at McDonald's.
Oh
What a
my
shocker!
God. It's a long line. And this one in particular drags their feet. Like there
Oh,
could be nothing going on, and for some reason they
yeah,
take forever. The
yes,
thing is, I know it now, even though I don't normally get it for myself. Sometimes I'm just getting it for the family. So I was
yeah.
trying to get them a surprise when I was coming back from an appointment. I said,
Uh,
oh, let me try to do this. And then I'm like, geez. And then this is what ends up happening.
Good grief.
And so I'm waiting in line. And like I said, the good news is normally I know it's going to take long, so I can listen to a podcast. I could spend
right.
all kind. I know this is about to be an investment. So I was waiting, got the dun-na-na, and I'm like, oh, phenomenal. I can do a quick video. And then all of a sudden the line started moving. I'm like, you got to be freaking kidding me here. I've been waiting for like a cajillion minutes of time. Now all of a sudden the line's moving and grooving. So I finish up the line and I pull over right from the drive-thru and then do a quick video to go on and give a status report on it. And I see so many people have asked this. Amid Hayoka, BG, what was the McDonald's order? I got that on the YouTube short and everything else. Here it was.
I'm a
I'll
big 2 cheeseburger meal guy. Like I'm an old school 2 cheeseburger meal guy.
Okay.
It's cheap. It's one of
All
the
right.
cheaper
Sure.
meal plans, and it's
Mhm.
It's perfect for a filler because I think I get too much more than that McDonald's in me, and I'm regretting it for about 3 days.
So my normal order, this is not what I ordered because I was just getting a snack, and I'll explain that in a second. But the normal order is I get a 10-piece chicken nugget. I get a large orange Fanta. And I
Okay.
say Fanta, it's not high C. I
Yep.
don't want the juice
Right.
like
You
a
don't want the juice one,
6-year-old.
yeah.
But they
Yep.
sometimes do it, and then I'm like, son of a. And I get home, and I'm like, gosh darn it. I don't check that. I assume these are professionals. They know what they're doing. My fault. So I get a large Fanta, an orange soda, and I'll get hot mustard with my nuggets, and there you go. That's the meal. So it's delicious. In this particular occasion, again, I was coming back from an appointment. I said, you know what? Let me
A
get
little
my
different.
family, get them a snack. Get them a little something before
Okay.
dinner. There's
Uh-huh.
a pocket of time here. I'll try to do something. So I got my fiance a chocolate shake. I don't
Nice.
partake, but I know she did.
Mm.
I'm like, you know what? Let me get the kiddo, my daughter's right. Let me get her a Happy Meal. Okay. It
Okay.
comes with a toy and all the apple
Yep.
slice
Get
and
all
all that.
that.
Just sure. Okay. I said for myself, I get a large fry, but I'm going to split it with my fiance anyway, so she can dip it in the shake if she wants to get crazy or
Uh-huh.
whatever she wants to do. So
That's
that was
always
it.
good. The fries and the shake work. That's
I
pretty
heard
good.
about that. I don't really
Yeah.
do it myself, but I don't shame the people that do. So it was the
Yes.
chocolate
Mhm.
shake, Happy Meal, a large fry, and then I also got her a 6-piece nugget to sort of share with the kids as it went around. So
Yeah.
there were some extra nuggets there as well. That was the McDonald's order tonight, and I'm being told from Matt Key that I should go to McDonald's more often so we could get good news. So I will try to increase my calorie intake to help the New York Jets if that's a sacrifice I'm set to make in this world. I will attempt to do so.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. All right. You've answered it all. McDonald's questions, Garrett
There you
Wilson,
go.
Jets questions. Again, tune in to Boy Green tomorrow. You kick it off, what, 7:30 tomorrow morning?
That's correct. 7:30
All
every
right.
morning. Yes,
So
sir.
he'll be operating on 3 hour sleep. And we'll be dropping some content at MC Show Digital tomorrow as well, including our brunch with Bud, my old co-host Bud Poliquin, who always has unique takes. As a matter of fact, Boy Green and Bud will get into it in this one on do rings matter? All right. It's a nice little brawl between the two of them. I decided I was in the center of the picture. I decided to be the neutral guy in this one. And we got into a debate about Mount Rushmores of quarterbacks and
Mm.
whether or not a particular quarterback of my liking belongs on Mount Rushmore. We'll talk
And
about it. A guy with 0 rings, by
I
the way.
just have one
0.
question to ask Jet fans. One quick question to ask Jet fans. You tell me, do rings matter? Do rings matter?
One and-
Okay. That's what I thought. Okay. That's what I thought. Kiss the ring, baby.
Yeah, that's something else. All right, that'll do it for us tonight. Again, thanks to all of you for chiming in here, and we will see you obviously on future podcasts here. Don't forget to take care of our sponsors, and thanks for joining us here on this pop-up live. We'll be right back in our usual game as the week rolls on. Peace out. See you.